Hey everybody, it's MJ. I wanted to make a video for parents who are thinking about transitioning or just to address the common questions I get being a transgender parent. So yeah, my cat's over here, so that's what I'm doing. I'm petting my cat. But she's always butting into my videos if you watch. Excuse me. Thank you. Rude. So I just wanted to kind of like make a video addressing the most common questions, concerns, or whatever, and maybe talk about a few resources for any parents who are thinking about transitioning. I apologize in advance that this is going to be cut into like 10 different videos on my feed because Instagram doesn't allow you to, post longer videos. So, yeah, so the first thing I kind of wanted to talk about, I wrote down notes here. The first thing is that the evidence regarding children of trans parents, it actually is in favor of them transitioning. 58% of parents who do transition are shown to actually have a 58% better relationship with their child, or it has stayed completely the same. So that's according to the National Transgender Discrimination Survey, so you can look that up. So another thing I get typically is, won't your child be confused? And that's a good one for me because I don't know, like I kind of think maybe it needs to be rephrased, like my child isn't going to be the confused one. Society is the one that's going to be confused. My child knows who I am. They know I'm transitioning. They're seeing it firsthand. I mean, even though my child is young, I only expose them to age appropriate things related to trans issues. I would never, kind of divulge things that are not appropriate for his age or whatever, but he knows I'm transitioning. He has a good support team. He obviously sees the physical changes. So yeah, that's, for one, it's, other children of, trans people have spoken out about it, that it doesn't really impact them as much as you would think. But as far as, like, understanding the process, he'd be the least confused out of most people in society because he's seeing it. I worry more about society being confused by me because maybe I don't look like the typical parent, not just because I'm trans, but because I'm alternative looking anyways. I know that's different to people. I worry more about the outside world impacting him and, them transferring their ignorance due to their own confusion. I don't worry about my child growing up unsure of me because he knows who I am. I always show up. I'm always there for him. I've always been his parent. He's very, well versed in who I am and who I always will be. But I do worry in the future. Society is very ignorant at times. I worry, will they, when they start noticing as he gets older, like, obviously I'm going to be outed because people around here know me. I'm from a small town. I can't be stealth. So yeah, I do get worried how that might impact him, how he will have to address questions to people. I'll have to educate him as much as I can on the matter. My son has special needs as well, so that kind of plays a part in this as well. So the way I approach it has to be, a little bit more conforming to where he's at and how, he processes things. But yeah, as far as my child being confused, no, my child is not confused. He's never going to be confused because I didn't, I'm the same person. When you think about, like, the best memories with your parents, you don't really think about, like, like, you wouldn't think, oh, this one time my mom dressed in this wonderful gown and that was just, like, the best experience ever. Like, you don't say shit like that. Like, you remember the times where your parents showed up, they came through for you, they supported you, they were compassionate towards you. That's what matters. You don't think of physical, aspects of them necessarily. So, I do what matters, so no, I don't worry about my child being confused. Another thing I want to address is if you are a parent and you're thinking about transitioning, I would just advise you to be very cautious as far as what you Google. And the reason I say that is because for a long time when I was researching things like how it would affect my child, the number one article that came up was, I believe it's by like this site called The Federalist, but it was basically this woman who grew up with a trans parent, and they were talking about how horrible of an experience, and it was just so traumatizing. And I would not react like that to a story, even if it just didn't conform to my beliefs, because I am not the child of a trans person, so I cannot relate. However, there have been other trans parents that have children that have spoken out against her, and if you do more research on that specific article, you'll find that she actually works for a ministry, and she is not trans supportive. She refers to us as individuals with gender confusion. So just be aware of that, because that's been kind of on the top charts for a long time as far as when you research things like that. If you're looking for one that's a lot better, I recommend Bryn. I don't know how to pronounce the last name. It's, I think, Tannehill, but she has a parent who's trans, and she spoke out about it. She actually is on the Trans United Fund board, so that's really cool. But you know, and obviously not everyone's gonna have positive things to say. Not all children have positive experiences with their parents transitioning, but it was a red flag to me that I kind of wanted to warn people about, to just be cautious, because when you research, you're gonna find that very hateful article. It wasn't just, you know, her experience. It was very resentful and negative and just not good. So just stay clear of that. You know, and I do advise you to seek out, you know, if you have any other, you know, friends that are trans that have kids, you know, there are, you know, obviously kids have some concerns, especially if they're older, and it's important to hear those out, because even as trans people, we don't know what it's like being a child of a trans person unless we have trans parents ourselves. So I definitely, you know, I advise getting all different experiences, but at the end of the day, I do believe that, you know, your own mental health and your own happiness is vital in being a parent. And even if you think that staying in the closet is not physically manifesting externally in any way, it really probably is. For me, it was anyways. I thought I hit it very well. So yeah, I think, you know, our children thrive when we're thriving, when we're able to provide them with the right amount of support and just always be there for them in every way possible. And the best way we can do that is to be our authentic selves and be, you know, who we really are, and not be burdened with, you know, unnecessary guilt and worry and just dysphoria constantly. Not that it goes away completely when you transition or come out, but, you know, nobody deserves to live holding that inside, and no child, you know, as much as you think you're doing them a service, they're very receptive. Like they can sense things, you know. So I do think it's best to always be your true self. And so yeah, so not only that, but it kind of like, in a way, it reminds me of like the old school mindset of you know, you have to stay in like an abusive relationship with like kids because it's better to be, you know, a full family home than a single family home. That whole old like traditional, you know, theory or whatever. Because really, if you're struggling internally with transitioning and not coming out yet, you know, obviously everyone's story is different, but it is kind of having somewhat of a negative relationship with yourself, because you're just really tugging yourself down with all this negativity that doesn't necessarily need to be there at all, really. So, you know, so yeah, once again, I just, you know, even if it's maybe not the most common thing to be a parent who's trans, it is just best, I think, to be who you are and to be able to transmit that happiness and, you know, just comfort and compassion to your child, and, you know, be there for them 100% instead of, you know, holding back in fear of what society will think. Obviously, this is different in situations where it's not safe. You know, I always tell people safety first. But, yeah, so then, what else was I going to talk about? Let me think. I'm trying to think. Oh, yeah, so as far as what my kid calls me, he calls me his mom. It doesn't offend me. Some trans men are offended by that. That's, you know, everybody's life is different. My child, I don't go into this a lot because, I had an incident, recently with somebody on my Sarah account, but, my child has special needs, so he just started, really speaking maybe 6 months ago, and so, it was just so overjoying when he started speaking that I would never